Hi everyone, it's me, Jess Taylor. I'm here in my lovely apartment and I'm ready to read you an excerpt from my first collection, Paul's, for Short Story Month. So I'll be reading from the story Paul. Paul. One street over from Paul lives another Paul. They grew up together and are good friends. People sometimes describe them as inseparable, refer to them as the Pauls, or just Pauls if they think they're clever. Paul, who lives on Verther Street, works at a paper mill, and Paul, who lives on Spruce Trail Crescent, became an academic. When the two Pauls were 10, exchanging stories about bike rides and dirty jokes and secrets at the back of the playground, a third Paul was born to a family on the outskirts of town. Paul was a name that ran in his family. His father's middle name was Paul, and his grandfather's first name was Paul, and his great-grandfather's middle name was Paul, and his great-great-grandfather's first name was Paul, and so on. A new Paul was born to the family, and the light in the hospital hurt his eyes, and the air in the world hurt his lungs, and he wailed, and that hurt his throat. The two Pauls are 25 when this story takes place. One Paul has a stack of books in front of him, and the other Paul brushes fragments of wood from his clothes. New Paul is not so new anymore. He's 15. Paul goes to school and he doesn't say much. Perhaps part of him remembers how wailing hurt his throat. He comes home and he goes outside and he listens to the birds. And he walks into the forest and he thinks about how every day is a new day, a good day, a strange day, and what a world it is that he lives in. He touches bark on trees, he touches the waxy surface of maple leaves, and then touches elm leaves and tries to think about the difference. Sometimes he collects hickory nuts that have fallen onto the moss at the edge of the forest. He pretends to be a gatherer in a hunter-gatherer society, but he feels too old for such games sometimes. Those times he goes deeper into the forest where his cat emerges from bushes, and he follows her through the forest, mostly just to see where she'll go. Paper Mill Paul has decided to get married. There's money in the bank and there's a girl that loves him, and he's not sure what else to do since every day he drives to work, and then he works, and then he gets paid when 2 weeks go by, and then he puts the money in the bank and takes the girl that loves him on dates, and then he goes over to PhD Paul's house after he's drunk from dinner wine, and they stay up all night talking about the things they talk about and doing what they do. So Paul proposes, and the girl that loves him accepts and starts picking out dresses. Paul sits alone in front of his computer reading literary theory, and he is alone, and his eyes hurt. There's a girl in Paul's math class that has a crush on him, and she writes his name in the margins of her book. Paul, 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 Paul. And she tries really hard not to think about his last name, the way it would look after her first name. Besides, her older sister told her the other day on the phone from university that not all girls want to get married and not all guys do either. Sometimes it's okay to not want those things and to be a strong, independent woman instead. And the girl thought that maybe that's how she should be. But are we still able to love someone and be independent? Of course, it's loving the right way, still being your own person. That's what I have with Rebecca. Don't tell Mom. So I'll stop there. If you want to read the rest of the story, you'll just have to buy the book. And yeah, have a great day.